Hello again. It seems like the Pokemon Challenge video that I did last month is doing pretty well, especially compared to the other videos I've made lately. So let's do another one. At the end of my last video, I asked that you guys give me suggestions for another roaming gym leader challenge, and you didn't disappoint. But I went with an idea that my friend Victory Fire had. She wanted me to go for a bug type run through Gen 3. That sounds pretty difficult. So let's see. Can you beat Pokemon Emerald using only bug type Pokemon? Now I'm glad she picked Gen 3 because Gen 1 would have just been the Parasect show again, and in Gen 2 you can get a Heracross before you even take on the Rockets in the Slowpoke well, and he'll break the game. Gen 3's bugs are a little less exciting. Gen 3's fully evolved bug types are Beautifly, Dustox, Masquerain, Ninjask, Shedinja, Volbeat, Illumise, and Armaldo. That's a pretty unexciting list, and it's about to get unexcitinger. Masquerain is a no-go for this run, since both it and its pre-evolution Surskit are unavailable in Emerald. That leaves us with 7 bug types to use, so one of them won't make the cut. Before we get started, let's break down the rules. Number 1, I can only use bug type Pokemon in battle. Number 2, I can only use bug type Pokemon as HM users unless there are no bug types who can learn a particular HM. For example, none of them can learn Fly. Seriously. So I'll have to get another non-bug flyer. Number 3, I can't use items in battle. Number 4, I can't use glitches or exploits. And number 5, someone brought up that I could just catch multiple of the strongest Pokemon of one type, and while I don't think that'll be very useful since TMs are finite usually, let's just nip that in the bud. I can only use one of each Pokemon. These runs are partially about using Pokemon that I've never used before, so that would kinda defeat the purpose. So with those rules out of the way, let's do this. Now I wanted to do this run with bugs from the very beginning, and since you can't catch a Pokemon until after the first rival fight, we're going to break out the Universal Pokemon Randomizer. This little bit of machinery will let me change basically whatever I want about the game, but we're going to keep things simple. I'll simply swap Trico out for Wurmple, so that May will still have the type advantage over us with a Blaziken in the end. After that serious downgrade, the run is a go. After fleeing from the moving van and doing all of the story stuff in Little Root, we head north and save Professor Birch from death by Poochyena thanks to our new best friend Wurmple. This Wurmple will eventually become a Beautifly, and I already know exactly how I'm going to use this guy. If I can get up a sunny day, I'll use that to have 1-turn Solar Beams and powered up Morning Suns. If I can't, then I'll just spam Stab Silverwinds. Now believe it or not, Wurmple actually isn't bad for a starter. It knows Tackle like most starters, but it also comes with Poison Sting, which is only 15 base power, but has a 30% chance to cause poisonings, so that's pretty handy. And before I even make it to the fight with May on Route 103, Wurmple's already evolved into Silcoon. In the May fight, I lead with a Harden to make her Torchic scratches totally ineffective, and then I spam Poison Stings until her Torchic gets poisoned, and then I just keep doing that until I won. Probably could have switched to Tackle after the poisoning happened, but I won. After I get the Pokeballs and the Dex, it's time to start looking for another Wurmple, this time to evolve it into Cascoon so that I can eventually have a Dustox. Heck. A Cascoon so I can eventually have a Dustox. There we go, thank you. Now Dustox is going to be a little harder to plan for since it doesn't have a serious strength, especially in its attack. Its final moveset will kind of just be a mishmash of whatever good moves it can learn. Stab Silverwind, Stab Sludge Bomb, the always powerful Psychic, and a recovery move in Moonlight. With my 2 Silky Boys in tow, we get past Cherry Grove, breeze through the Petalburg Woods, and by the time we make it out of there, Silcoon has evolved into Beautifly, and Cascoon has evolved into Dustox. We aren't even to the first major city, and we already have 2 fully evolved bugs. I can see the appeal the bug catchers have in them. Oh wait, never mind, we have Roxanne coming up. We're still gonna need some help. I go up north to Route 116 and find myself a Nincada. This guy is actually pretty beefy on the physical attacking side, and once it evolves into Ninjask, it'll also become one of the fastest Pokemon of the generation, with a speed boost ability to make it even faster. Its final moveset will capitalize on that with Swords Dance to boost its attack, and Baton Pass to hand off those boosts in attack and speed to another fighter. And if Ninjask needs to stay in, then it'll come equipped with 2 physical attacks that can get a Swords Dance boost, a stab and always accurate aerial ace, and a high critical hit move, Slash. After a good chunk of grinding on Whismers in the Rust Turf Tunnel, we give Roxanne a try. Her first two Geodudes are nothing Beautifly can't handle, and they both go down to an Absorb, prompting her final Pokemon, Nosepass. I swapped to Nincada to start spamming sand attacks. Nosepass has Rock Tomb, and it hits Beautifly like a truck, so that needs to not happen if possible. Nosepass is using Harden, but that's fine since I'm going to be going after its special defense. After I max out his accuracy drops, I just spam Leech Lives until Nosepass takes me out, since I can't switch out, since Nosepass used Block on me. I can't really do much to her, and she can barely touch me, so it's a very slow process, especially when Nosepass heals back up with a berry and a potion. Eventually, after 6 actual minutes of going back and forth, Nosepass finally KOs Nincada with a Rock Tomb, and I can switch to Beautifly to finish her off with more absorbs. After that, we save the Wingull from Team Aqua and have a super quick rival fight with May. She's a pushover here with just 2 Pokemon. Her Lotad goes down to Leech Lives from Nincada, and after bringing her Torchic almost all the way down with Dustox's Confusion, Beautifly comes in to finish the job. I then hitch a ride from Mr. Briny down to Dewford to take the letter to Stephen Stone, and then to Slateport to give the ship parts to Doc. We beat up a couple of Aqua Grunts along the way, and then I trek all the way back to Rustboro to get the experience share from the Devon boss. Then it's all the way back again. Now we've got another fight with May coming up, and this one is notoriously difficult. I want to get all of my Pokemon up to level 20 before this fight for 3 reasons. Beautifly learns Morning Sun, Dustox learns Moonlight, and Nincada evolves into Ninjask. But wait, there's more! Since I had an open slot in my party, I'm also gifted with one of the weirdest Pokemon in the game, Shedinja. Shedinja has one of the best abilities in all of Pokemon, Wonder Guard. Wonder Guard makes it so that Shedinja can only be hurt by super effective moves or by passive damage like poison, confusion, or weather. Because of this, Shedinja is completely immune to 12 different types, but it also only has 1 HP, so any hit that gets through those defenses will be a guaranteed knockout. It'll have 3 physical attacking moves in Return, Dig, and a Stab Shadow Ball, as well as Confuse Ray in case Shedinja has to stay in against a Pokemon with a super effective move. After all of those conditions are met, we're ready for the May fight. She leads with Wingull and I go with Dustox. I land a Confusion that confuses Wingull, but she breaks through and takes off a good chunk with Wing Attack. Wingull's second Wing Attack is a crit and takes down Dustox. I send in Ninjask to finish it off with a cut. Out comes our middle starter, Combuskin. I swap to Beautifly, and we swap super effective moves. Beautifly's Gust and Combuskin's Ember. Beautifly wins the speed test and takes down Combuskin with another Gust. Last is her Lombre, and I lead with a Morning Sun to recover health. It's a good move as Lombre just doesn't astonish. A single Gust with a crit is enough for the takedown, and we score the win over May. After that, we finish up the rest of Route 110 and go west from Mauville to Route 117, where we'll find both Volbeat and Illumise. However, I'm only going to be using one of these two since they're pretty similar in moves and abilities, but Illumise is at least a decent special attacker, while Volbeat is the same for physical attack. I already have a couple of physical attackers, so we'll pick up an Illumise here. By the end of the game, Illumise will have Thunderbolt, Giga Drain, Water Pulse, and Wish, which will allow it to be the team's healer if need be. Now, I need a strong move to take on Watson, specifically his Magneton. It's Steel type and as such is really hard to take down. Luckily, the Mauville Game Corner is right next door and has all kinds of great TMs, but they're just a bit costly. I went to the Game Corner with 2,000 coins, and that was after I spent all of my money on coins. I tried the slot machines, but I wasn't making anything, so I reset my save and instead used the profitable but insanely slow roulette wheel. Overall, this took like 10 hours before I finally raised the 1,500 coins I needed, and then I nearly accidentally bought the Double Team TM, and then I had to step away from the computer for a couple of hours to stop myself from crying. I bought Psychic, taught it to Dustox, and was finally ready to move on. I then took out my frustrations on the second gym leader, Brawly. He has fighting Pokemon, and I just learned Psychic. He's about to have a bad day. I one-shot his Machop, two-shot his Meditite with Gust, and one-shot his Makahita. That felt really good. After that, I give Watson a shot, but his Magneton is still just too hard to take down. So after a few failed attempts, I grind as much as I can, along the bicycle path, in the trick house, Watson's underlings, everyone I can grind on to get myself ready for Watson. Eventually, I get all of my Pokemon up to level 25, except Dustox, who's level 30. I think I'm ready this time. He leads with Voltorb and I go for Illumise. I do a bit of damage with Quick Attack, but they do a lot more to themselves with Self-Destruct. Illumise tanks it pretty well, and we're moving on. Didn't see that one coming. Next is an Electrike. I just start chipping away with Quick Attack while he raises his attack with Howl. I get paralyzed from his static ability, and he uses Shockwave, which I should note is not affected by the previous Howl. Great job. Another Quick Attack drops him into the red, but he heals with a Super Potion. I get off one more Quick Attack before Electrike takes me down. I go for Shedinja, and 2 cuts are enough to take it down, but unfortunately he gets staticked on the way out. In comes that dreaded Magneton, and I swap to Beautifly to try for a Stun Spore, and it connects. But Magneton totally copies me and responds with a Thunder Wave, so we're both paralyzed. After that, I just chip away at its health as much as I can with Mega Drain before it KOs me with Shockwave. Time for my heavy hitter, Dustox. Psychic does basically the same amount of damage as Beautifly's Mega Drain. I might have hitched my cart to the wrong bug. I get in a couple of Psychic shots before Magneton drops the Parafusion on me, so I take a chance and switch out to Shedinja, predicting a Shockwave. It goes for Sonic Boom instead, but that's just as good. No damage. After that, I swap back to Dustox now that the confusion is gone. Well, I walked right into that one, didn't I? Luckily, I'm only confused for one turn, and I land a couple more Psychics. Heck. I heal back up a bit with Moonlight, and then I swap to Shedinja, cut once, and swap back to Dustox. I have no freaking idea why I did that. I'm watching this back right now, and when I saw that, I was just as confused as you are. Past Nicky is an idiot. Anyway, I keep plugging away with the Psychics, healing up with Moonlight when necessary. I haven't been fully paralyzed yet in this battle, so that's nice. Oh, there it is. Eventually, I finally get Magneton to the red when my paralysis luck swings back the other way, and I miss 2 turns in a row to paralysis while Magneton is whittling me down. But then Psychic finally connects, and Magneton is down. Last is his Manectric, and I'm not too worried about him. Shedinja walls it. I send out Ninjask first though to see if I can get her some experience. I go for Cut, and he nearly takes me out with Shockwave, and then he finishes me off with Quick Attack. So much for that plan. Alright Shedinja, finish the job. Manectric can only howl in frustration as Shedinja eventually takes it down with a series of cuts and Fury Swipes. Watson has been defeated and I can finally move on with my life. After a whole lot of unimportant story stuff that involves meteorites and Team Magma and nothing too important, although there was this one moment after I ran off Team Aqua where I went to talk to the scientist and a random encounter happened right next to him, and I thought that he was having a surprise battle with me, so that was kind of interesting. So we go back to Mount Chimney to have ourselves a fight with the Magma boss Maxie. He leads with Mightyena, and I go for Ninjask, who I forgot to heal before this fight. Oh dear. Not only is her normally strong attack power dropped by being burnt, but Intimidate also drops it even more. There's not much I can do here, so I just try to chip away with the super effective Leech Life. I can only manage a little bit of damage before Ninjask goes down. I then send out Beautifly to start plugging away at Mightyena with Mega Drain. It ends up healing back up, but we're able to take it right back down and take down Mightyena. Next is Camerupt, and I swap to Dustox and just start going to town on him with Psychic. A special defense drop really helps, and after I take a Magnitude 7 and Camerupt takes a Super Potion, a few more Psychics finish the job. Last is a Zubat, and that's an easy knockout for Illumise's Shockwave. From there, I head straight over to Lava Ridge to fight Flannery. This fight actually starts out way better than I was expecting, as Shedinja is able to dig down and take out both her Numel and Slugma in one hit each. But then comes her Camerupt. I try to dig again, and it takes her to just under half health. Camerupt takes down Shedinja with an Overheat, which is fine, since that'll also cause a massive special attack drop. Just like with Maxie's Camerupt, I swap to Dustox and bring it down with some Psychics. Last is a Torkoal, and I swap to Beautifly, and I get a Stun Spore off before I get destroyed with Overheat. I don't even get the special attack drop though, because it was holding a white herb. I send out Ninjask and hope for a full paralysis so I can boost up a Sword Stance, and wouldn't you know, it worked! I hit him with a Fury Swipes, 3 hits, 1 with a crit, but I'm immediately OHKO'd by Overheat. Thankfully this time, with a status drop. Illumise is up and I Shockwave her for some minor damage. I get a second one up after Torkoal goes for a Sunny Day, but Illumise then drops to Overheat, followed by another drop. Last is my ace, Dustox. I try for Flash, which misses, but wouldn't have worked anyway because of Torkoal's ability. I heal back to full now that Torkoal is resorting to Body Slams, and then I try Psychic. It's not enough for the KO, and that means she heals her Torkoal back to full health. Thankfully, I'm in a position where Torkoal can't do much to me, so I keep plugging away with Psychics. Eventually, she breaks out a desperation play, Attract. Gross. Luckily, Dustox fights through the attraction, brings it down to red health, and after losing a turn to attraction, he finally finishes Torkoal with Gust, barely netting us the win. Holy crow, when did these gym leaders get so tough? After receiving the Go Goggles from May, which lets us roam the deserts of Route 111, we eventually find the Mirage Tower, climb to the top, and grab the Claw Fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask, but actually no, we are using this guy, thanks for asking though. Because this little guy will turn into an Anorith and later an Armaldo. Armaldo is a physical attacking behemoth with some very impressive type coverage. Eventually he'll end up with Ancient Power, Brick Break, Strength, and Earthquake, and I might swap out Strength for Iron Tail if I need it. After I go back to Rustboro to revive Anorith, I train up a whole bunch on the routes near Fall Arbor, and then I get ready for another tough fight, this time with Norman. Just so you know, this is like my 4th try on Norman, so this has definitely been a struggle. He leads with Spinda and I go for Shedinja. He uses Teeter Dance, which is odd because the last 3 times he's just automatically switched out. Luckily, Cut still lands, and critically too, bringing Spinda to yellow health. Next turn we both switch Pokemon, me to Anorith and him to Vigoroth. I try Rock Smash since that's technically super effective but pretty weak, and it doesn't do much, but it does cause a defense drop. I did this 3 times and got a defense drop each time before Anorith went down. Ninjask comes in and finishes off Vigoroth. He puts Spinda back in and I try the Shedinja thing again. This time it works and he switches to Slacking. I'm actually trying to get Vigoroth and Slacking out of the way first because those are the only threats he has who can do anything to Shedinja. Spinda has Teeter Dance, but he's also really weak and I can probably take him down pretty quickly with whoever. Anyway, Slacking time. I get in a free cut and then swap to Beautifly. I use Stun Spore on him. Now I can already hear you say, Nicky, don't do that, his facade is doubled in power when he's paralyzed. And yes, that's true, you're all very intelligent for knowing that, because I sure forgot it on the first try. But this is still handy for 3 reasons. 1, Slacking OHKOs most of my team with facade anyway, even without the boost. 2, the obvious benefits of paralysis, lowered speed and full paralyses. And 3, I need Slacking to be slow for a trick coming up with him later. Stay tuned. Anyway, once this happens, I get off a Mega Drain, but then Slacking wrecks my day with Facade. Then I swap to Shedinja, and here's that trick. I do a cut on his Truant turn, and then I dig so that when he attacks, I'm underground, and when dig hits, he's slacking off. Slacking is effectively powerless to stop this. Now, the problem is, Shedinja doesn't do a lot of damage with this move, even with his decent 90 base power. So this isn't a strategy that can totally destroy Slacking, especially if he still has Hyper Potions, which he does here, but it will at least give you some free turns to lay into him. After those 10 turns, I swap over to Ninjask and see what I can do with him. Turns out, not a lot. I boost up a couple times, try Fury Swipes, and Ninjask goes down. Next is Dustox, and now I need a new plan. I go for Flash for a couple of turns to drop his accuracy, but I get yawned and then smacked down. Next is Illumise, and I go for Shockwave a couple of times to bring it down, but then he goes for Yawn. I have 1 turn before I go to sleep, so I use Encore to trap him into using Yawn over and over again. From there, I do a very delicate balancing act of trying to keep the Encore up and hoping I wake up quickly, while also still inflicting damage on Slacking, but he eventually goes down. I get the chance to learn Flatter, which is Swagger's special attacking counterpart. I didn't know that was actually a thing, but... No! Okay, 5th try. Thanks to the dig strategy and the encore strategy, I'm able to get back to where I was, and I don't even bother with Dustox this time around, so he's still around. Also, I'm going to start saving more often because my game is crashing a lot right now, so I'll promise not to save scum. Anyway, next is Spinda. We go back and forth with Dustox's Psychic and Spinda's Side Beam, and despite a confusion, Spinda falls to Psychic. Last is his Linoon, and he can't do anything at all to us. In fact, he does a lot of the work himself with Belly Drum, and we finish off Linoon, getting our 5th badge. We get the Surf HM, which lets us go all around the world, train up, and learn a bunch of new stuff. This includes picking up the Sludge Bomb TM from Dewford and the Thunderbolt TM from New Mauville, which we'll teach to Dustox and Illumise respectively. Then after a quick beatdown of the Aqua admin Shelly at the Weather Institute, we have our next fight with May. The fight starts a bit sketchy because I'm a Maroon who put a Cicada Husk with the stamina of a Cicada Husk out there against a giant bird. So I switch to Dustox and eat a critical wing attack to boot. I think I would have been better off just letting Shedinja eat that one. From here I learn a very important lesson that will serve me well for the rest of the game. Every Pelipper uses Protect to an obnoxious degree. I don't know why Pelicans need to protect themselves. They're not endangered and they've been regularly known to rip off Lakers. If anything, they protect others in that bill. I don't know, but whenever you see a Pelipper, you've got a free turn or two while it wastes time with Protect. Anyway, Pelipper ends up taking down my Dustox, but gets beaten by Beautifly. Beautifly then proceeds to sweep the rest of her team, beating Combuskin with Gust and Lombre with Silver Wind. With that out of the way, I now have to worry about Winona. Flying type gyms plus bug types equal problems. After some failed attempts, I need to grind up a bunch and I level up all of my guys on the routes between Mauville and Lily Cove. Let's give this a try. For Winona, I lead off with Beautifly. I'm not sure why. I think I did it because she isn't that useful in this fight, so I might as well have her fight the weakest Pokemon she has so that it doesn't injure my valuable Pokemon later. Next time I'll write these scripts as I go instead of doing it after the footage is recorded. After a wimpy little Silverwind, I set up a Sunny Day, heal with Morning Sun, and fire off a series of one-turn Solar Beams. They don't do a lot, but there was this one turn where she used Mirror Move on me, and it was pitiful, so that was kind of funny. But then she pulls an ace out of her sleeve. Perish Song. I don't want Beautifly to die outright, so I switched to Illumise as Swablu takes a Hyper Potion. That must have been my reasoning. I needed something to put it exactly into the red so that she'd waste a Hyper Potion on a useless Swablu. Illumise comes in and one-shots Swablu with T-Bolt. I knew there was a reason for that. Next is Tropius, and I send out Anorith. I missed the first Rock Tomb, but the second one KOs it with a critical. Next is Pelipper, and it's over to Illumise. Pelipper uses Protect, of course, but then I get the Oko with Thunderbolt again. Next is Ninjask versus Altaria, and for our first turn, this turns into a dance battle. Swords Dance versus Dragon Dance. I feel comfortable with just a single Swords Dance, and I hit the Slash for a one-hit KO with a crit on Altaria. That went so much better than I was expecting. Last is her Skarmory and it's Anorith time. I miss with a Rock Tomb and she one-shots me with Steel Wing. Illumise comes in and knocks her down into the deep yellow. She heals, 2 more Thunderbolts, and the fight. That was a pretty stout win over Winona, especially with nothing but an army of bugs. Next up is a whole lot of story stuff involving the 2 gangs, running off the Aqua Grunts on Mount Pyre, grinding up on Route 123, a bonus May fight in Lily Cove that we absolutely smoked, and finally back to Mount Chimney to fight the Magma guys again. On my way through Mount Chimney, we finally have Anorith evolve into Armaldo, and then it's Maxi time. First matchup is Beautifly versus Mightyena. I start with some Silver Winds, which does okay damage. He drops my speed with Scary Face, and then he used Swagger, which results in just a +1 boost to my attack overall instead of +2 since he has Intimidate. That seems like a move that isn't very optimal to have on an Intimidate user. Anyway, I hit through the confusion and the attack boost lets me KO Mightyena. That was needlessly complicated. Next is Armaldo versus Camerupt. I land an Ancient Power and Camerupt responds with Amnesia to raise his special defense, which accidentally turns out to be the right move as I run out of Ancient Power PP and try Water Gun instead. I drop him into the red, but he amnesias again, and I switch to Rock Tomb, but it misses twice. I need to lose that move soon. It's way too inaccurate. After tanking 2 Earthquakes, Rock Tomb finally connects for the knockout. Last is his Crobat, and I try Dustox. Wing Attack does serious damage, and Psychic looks like a 3-hit KO move as another Wing Attack drops me. Ninjask is next and gets off 2 slashes, which takes it deep into the red before falling as well. I figure his health is low enough that I can try Beautifly's Silverwind, and after he misses an Air Cutter, Silverwind doesn't KO it, but I get the all-around boost. But I'm out of Silverwind PP. Now I have to try Solar Beam, and Crobat opts for Confuse Ray. I hit myself in confusion, and now I just need a clean switch. So I switch in Shedinja and let him get immediately KO'd by Wing Attack. I try Armaldo to see if he can tank a Wing Attack, and he can by the skin of his teeth. I finish him with Water Gun, and that's the end of a way too difficult Maxi fight. But that's only part 1 of the team battles, because now we have to fight through the Aqua Hideout. La-dee-da. Luckily, this dungeon just leads to another Aqua admin, this time Matt. Basically, imagine the Maxi fight, but he's at a lower level, he has no Camerupt and nothing to replace it with, his Crobat is only a Golbat, and he's in a location where it's a good idea to have an electric type move. Yeah, this was a squash. Next, we surf on over to Moss Deep to fight Tate and Liza, the doubles gym. You'd think that bug types would have a little bit of an advantage over this psychic gym, and we did, but not because of our bug types. They started with Claydol and Xatu, and I went with Illumise and Armaldo. I singled out Xatu on the first turn, taking him down with the Thunderbolt and an Ancient Power, whilst both of my guys take minor damage from Claydol's Earthquake. Next turn, we target another Pokemon, this time Solrock, and a Giga Drain knocks it down pretty far. We take a little more damage from another Earthquake, and Solrock got up a Sunny Day before eating a critical Metal Claw and biting the dust. Now we focus on Claydol, but I can only get off a Giga Drain from Illumise before Claydol and Lunatone gang up on Armaldo and drop him with a third Earthquake and a Psychic. With the sun still out, I send out Beautifly, and we do a Grass move twofer. Giga Drain and Solar Beam, both to Claydol, that's a KO. Unfortunately, Beautifly takes a critical Psychic to take it out. But we saved Lunatone for last for a reason. We've reached the part of the battle where Shedinja can't be killed. So Illumise keeps laying in Giga Drains while Shedinja goes for Confuse Ray. Lunatone boosts up with Calm Mind, but it's too little too late. Next turn, Giga Drain, hurt by Confusion, Shadow Ball, down. That may have been the easiest Tate and Liza fight ever. I love this team. After a pretty one-sided double battle alongside Steven against a couple of the big Magma guys, we get the Dive HM, chase down the Aquas, beat them up, see the beginning of the apocalypse, wake up a Sky Lizard, watch him have a domestic with his unruly kids, and then go back to his house so he can finish his nap. And then it's wand time. By the way, since this gym takes place on an island and none of my bugs learned Surf, I have to do this fight with only 5 Pokemon, so Dustox is going to the bench. First is Luvdisc. Luvdisc sucks. I'm surprised it survived a Thunderbolt from Illumise, but she did, and then Wand healed her and Illumise polished her off with more bolts. I get why she's there, but she really shouldn't be. Next is Wishcash, who takes a Giga Drain, puts up a Rain Dance, and then falls to another Giga Drain. Celio's up, and I swap to Armaldo. I survive a Water Pulse, dish out about 3/4 damage with Ancient Power, but I get the big boost. This lets me go first on the next turn, and I finish off Celio with another Ancient Power. Next is Crawdaunt, and I leave in the boosted Armaldo, but Crawdaunt survives a Brick Break by the skin of his teeth. One more Water Pulse takes down Armaldo, and I put the ace for this battle back in, Illumise. I'm pretty sure Wand's gonna heal up, and he does, so instead of going for the kill, I use Attract on him to keep him from attacking. Thunderbolt takes him down to the red, and he hits through the attraction, but only uses Leer. You can never account for the game just being a blithering idiot sometimes. Another T-Bolt takes down Crawdaunt. Last is his biggest problem, Kingdra. He starts double teaming immediately and I respond with Attract. From there, I just go for a bunch of Giga Drains and Thunderbolts to whittle it down, while Illumise takes a couple of Ice Beams surprisingly well. I'm not sure if Juan has another Hyper Potion or not, so I go for Wish. Kingdra instead attacks, telling me that he doesn't have any left, so I'm in the clear. Illumise goes down, Ninjask comes in, and Slash finishes the fight. That was pretty good. With all 8 badges under our belt, it's time to make the pilgrimage to the Pokemon League. We still have a lot of training to do because we aren't at Elite 4 levels yet, so we train up along Victory Road and all of the water routes before we give the Elite 4 a try. Again, if I can't get past an Elite 4 member, I'll go train more and come back for that fight. I train up to level 45, meaning an S-rank run is pretty much dead, and we begin with Sydney. First matchup is Armaldo versus Mightyena. That might be a mistake, as Armaldo takes an attack drop from Intimidate, meaning all of those beefy physical attacks Armaldo sports will be weakened. Brick Break does less than half damage, and after the second Brick Break, Mightyena is healed up. I figure I can still take him down, especially after I get a high roll Brick Break, but an earlier Sand attack makes me miss twice in a row, and Armaldo goes down. I go for Beautifly, who finishes him off with Silverwind. Next is Absol, and I keep using Silverwind on him. Somehow I dodge 3 Rock Slides in a row despite it having 90 accuracy. He eventually goes down with 3 Silverwinds, but holy cow, that could have been bad. Next is Shiftry, who's quad weak to Silverwind. After surviving a critical extrasensory, Shiftry goes down to a critical Silverwind. Since I'm out of Silverwind PP on Beautifly, I swap to Dustox and have him use Silverwind on the also quad weak Cacturne for a one-shot kill. Last is Crawdaunt, and we trade Silverwinds and Surfs back and forth. I get him to low health, but he heals back up and eventually takes me down with Strength. So it's up to Illumise to finish the job with Thunderbolt. Sydney is down. Phoebe gave me a whole bunch of problems, so I train up to level 49 and try again. First up is Ninjask versus Dusclops. Dusclops always uses Protect on the first couple of turns, so it's a good idea to use that time to boost up with Sword Stance. I end up getting all 3 Sword Stances up to max out my attack before Dusclops even lays a finger on me. With my maxed out attack and ever increasing speed, I OHKO Phoebe's entire team with Aerial Ace. No one is even able to get a move off after the first Dusclops. It's a total sweep. Glacie is next, and I go with Armaldo against her Celio. I come out of the gates fast with Brick Break while she sets up a Hail. Another Brick Break takes down Celio. After that, she immediately sends out her ace, Walrein, so I swap to Illumise. I get a massive critical hit on the first turn, and she gets paralyzed. Outstanding move! And to put the cherry on top, Walrein's Citrus Berry takes her out of healing range, and another Thunderbolt finishes her toughest Pokemon. What a crazy turn. It's over to Dustox for her first Glalie. Glalie does some alright damage with Ice Beam, but I get another critical with Sludge Bomb and a Poisoning. Feel free to call hacks here, I have no better explanation for this. After one more Ice Beam, another Sludge Bomb downs her. Next is another Celio, and I keep in Dustox, but he doesn't last long to a Blizzard. Next in is Illumise, and Thunderbolt takes her down. Last is her second Glalie, and I have a plan. Glalie is going to need to reset the Hail. I can boost up with Ninjask, and then Never mind. Okay, let's try Illumise. Thunderbolt does alright damage, and I get 2 off before the Ice Beams start coming. I'm able to take the first one, get off one more Thunderbolt, and then Ice Beam finishes her off. I go for Armaldo, and after he tanks an Ice Beam, Break Break does the job, and we notch our 3rd win. Next is the Dragon Master Drake, and this is another one that gave me problems, so I had to leave and come back at level 52 to match his level roughly before I had any kind of success here. So A rank is gone too. First up is Ninjask versus Shelgon. Shelgon also starts with Protect, so again I boost up with Ninjask first. I try Aerial Ace after just one boost, and it does over half health. After a miss from Rock Tomb, another Aerial Ace KOs him. Up next is Flygon, and I try Aerial Ace again just to see how much it does, and it's an OHKO with a crit, so a lot is the answer. Next is Altaria, and I keep Ninjask in to try a boost up again. After we dance at each other for one turn, I try Slash with 2 Sword Stances, and it does about 2/3 damage. Altaria got greedy and went for one more Dragon Dance, and Ninjask got the knockout with another Slash. Next is Salamence, and I leave in Ninjask, but I baton pass all of my boosts to Armaldo. He tanks a Rock Slide, and I respond with an Ancient Power, which OHKOs Salamence. No crit this time. His last poke is a Kingdra, and I keep Armaldo out and try an Earthquake. That drops Kingdra into the deep yellow, but a Surf takes it down. I send Ninjask back in, and just like the wand fight, I go for Sword Stance to predict a heal up. And this time he does heal his Kingdra. I boost up a second time, but he uses Smoke Screen. Joke's on him, we use Aerial Ace to take him into the red. He heals up again, but we have him on the ropes. 2 more Aerial Aces finish the fight. Only one trainer left, the champion Wallace. First match is Wailord versus Beautifly. I start with a Sunny Day when his Blizzard misses. I go for Solar Beam, and that does about 3/4 damage. Another missed Blizzard lets me finish off Wailord. Next up is Milotic, and I switch to Illumise because Ice Beam does terrible things to Beautifly. I get off a Thunderbolt, and it doesn't do much, but Illumise gets hit with a Toxic. On the second Thunderbolt, I cause a paralysis, but Milotic uses Recover, seemingly ready to play the long game and let Illumise get poisoned to death. I try a Wish, trying to bring myself back up, but a Surf and Toxic damage take me to deep red health. A Thunderbolt doesn't do much, and Ice Beam finishes Illumise. Next is Beautifly, who gets healed for all of 9 HP. I figure that I've got a chance to set up a Sunny Day since he's paralyzed, and I do because I get Toxic'd instead. I fire off a Solar Beam to take it to yellow health, but he eats a Citrus Berry to restore health. I try another Solar Beam, but Milotic survives with a sliver of health, and then Ice Beam finishes me off. I go for Ninjask, and predicting a heal up, I start Sword Dancing again. I try a Slash and do just under half damage, while tanking an Ice Beam with a little health to spare. I need Slash to crit if I want to take down Illumise right here, and it doesn't happen. Surf takes me down. I send out Dustox, who takes a Surf, but finally finishes Milotic with a Sludge Bomb. I need something to go my way in this match, and next in is Whiscash. I go for Shedinja to try to at least throw out a Confuse Ray to whoever he swaps to, but he doesn't swap. Whiscash uses Amnesia and takes the Confuse Ray. I go for Shadow Ball, which does about 1/3 damage, but he keeps trying Amnesia even after his special defense is maxed, and I eventually take him down. Next is Tentacruel, and I go for for Armaldo. He misses the first hydro pump, and I land an earthquake that takes him into the red. I go for another one, but he heals and the quake puts him right back down. Hydro Pump misses again, and Earthquake finishes him. Next is Ludicolo, and I try out Dustox. He double teams, but Sludge Bomb drops him to under half, plus poisons him. Dustox then survives a Surf with just 2 HP, and one more Sludge Bomb takes him down. Last is Gyarados, and in comes my personal victory lap, Shedinja. Gyarados is walled. We've got the win. I just keep attacking with Shadow Balls and returns until Gyarados goes down, and we lock up the championship with nothing but a handful of bugs. Overall, this was a very difficult challenge, but one that proved to be very entertaining for me, and I hope for you too. With our highest level being a level 53, we finished the run with a B rank, and the MVP for this run would likely be Illumise. She did a ton of heavy lifting in this run, including Norman slacking, half of Winona's team, partially for all of Tate and Liza, and Glacia's Walrein. But also big props to Ninjask, who soloed Phoebe and nearly soloed Drake. Maybe he gets like a finals MVP. Anyway, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you'd like me to do next. I'd like to do something from Gen 2 next, but as this video suggests, I'll do what you guys want from me. Thanks, and I'll see y'all later. It's Steel type. Hello. Sorry, I'm recording stuff. I'll open the door later.